Hi there, welcome back to FM Language. In today's class we will talk about word categories. In our previous class we stated that it was necessary to draw a clear distinction between words and constituents, and we said that for our purposes here we will concentrate our attention on the notion of constituent. So it will be interesting for you to watch our last class, our last video on constituents and words, so that you know exactly what we're talking about here when we say that constituents are the units that we will concentrate on when discussing morphosyntactic analysis. In today's class, we will say that such constituents belong to categories, and we will say that in order to determine categories, that is, in order to state that a specific constituent belongs to the category noun, verb, preposition, adjective, adverb, etc., what we will need to do is to consider both morphological and distributional criteria. A question that begs to be answered at this point is, what are morphological and distributional criteria? Well, there is a class. You need to, again, you're kindly invited to watch one of our classes, one of our previous classes, in which we talk about morphology and the formation of words. And we talk about free and bound morphemes on the one hand, and basically what we mean when we say morphology is the form of words as determined by the grammar, a grammar that is rule-governed and hierarchical. So we need to refer you back to our class on morphology so that you have a full account of what we mean by morphological analysis. However, we will illustrate our point here. Okay, so let us say that there are constituents such as the constituent table or book or desk, and that these constituents belong to the category noun. We know that they belong to the category noun because they all have the same morphological behavior when it comes to plurality. That is, we go for book, books, table, tables, desk, desks. In other words, all nouns can inflect for plural form in English by adding s in the spelling or sa in the pronunciation, and we can go for many other words. And we also know that there are irregular plurals such as ox, oxen, and child, children, but we will not basically get into that. We need to look into regularities. So that's one morphological criterion, plurality. We know that other categories of words, such as prepositions, do not have plural form because prepositions are a whole other, or belong to a whole other category of constituent. The same goes for adjectives. Adjectives in English do not inflect for plural forms. So it is important to know that only some categories of constituents, such as nouns in English, will inflect for plural forms or plurality, that is, number. So that is one morphological criterion. Let us talk about one distributional criterion for the determination that a constituent belongs to the category noun. By distribution we mean basically the hierarchical arrangement of constituents in a phrase or clause. Let's take the category noun and let us consider the distributional properties of nouns. Nouns are typically followed by prepositional phrases, and they are typically preceded by articles. So I can say the book on the table, the lady in red, or the name of the rose. So the words book, in the book on the table, or lady in the lady in red, or name in the name of the rose. All these constituents belong to the category noun because they are all preceded by determiners and they're all followed by prepositional phrases. There are many other morphological and distributional criteria. We're here interested in illustrating our points succinctly, that is very, very briefly, right? Well, let's pass on to a whole other constituent and a whole other category. So let us think of verbs. Verbs are morphologically characterized by the fact that, for instance, in their simple present third person form, they take again S in the spelling or sa in phonology, right? And we know that play will become plays, and we know that go will become goes, and live will become lives. So all words that belong to the category verb should be able to have the same type of behavior. Of course, again, we're not considering irregularities such as watches or flashes that have to do more with phonological phenomena that are translated into orthographic phenomena. We're here talking about regularities. A whole other feature of verbs is that they can take the ed form for the formation of past and past participle forms in verbs that are regular. So again, we go for play, played, and live, lived, and move, moved. And we also know that constituents belonging to the category verb can take the ing form in the formation of gerundial forms or present participle forms, that is, verbs that take the ing form for the expression of continuous or progressive aspect. So let us take play, playing, and move, moving, and live, living. So these are all morphological criteria. What about distributional criteria, or one distributional criterion for the determination of the category verb? Well, we can think of the following. Verbs are typically preceded by auxiliary verbs that will specify either modality or tense. So if we go like, she does like it, or does she like it? She doesn't like it. We know that verbs are preceded by auxiliary verbs that will emphasize the affirmative, assertive nature of statements, and we can also use the auxiliary verbs for the formation of interrogative and negative sentences. On the other hand, we know that verbs can also be preceded by modal auxiliary verbs that will enable us to express our attitudes towards certain statements. So we can say, she may be there, she may be coming, she will be coming, she should be coming, she must be coming. This is basically what we mean by distribution. There is a category verb that is distributed, that is basically placed right after the auxiliary verb, or we can say that the auxiliary verb will precede the main verb, the category verb. When we say verb here, we mean main verb. As we will see, this is a lexical or content constituent when we say run, play, move, live, versus functional constituents, such as auxiliary verbs that are either modal or non-modal. It is important to mention in passing that in our next class we will be talking about both function and content words or constituents. Okay, what about the category adjective? The constituent that belongs to the category adjective will inflect for comparative and superlative forms such as ER or EST. We can say big, bigger, tall, taller, or hot, hotter. So adjectives inflect four comparative and superlative forms. There is a morphological criterion. What about one distributional criterion or distributional criteria? What we will say about adjectives is that adjectives can be placed before the nouns they modify, and that is what we call an attributive adjective. So think of pretty woman. In pretty woman, pretty precedes the noun woman. Or we can say beautiful house, or we can say interesting book. So all these constituents, beautiful, pretty, interesting, belong to the category adjective because they pre-modify nouns. So typically nouns are preceded by adjectives, and these adjectives that precede nouns are called attributive adjectives. However, we can also say things like the house is beautiful, we can say that woman is pretty, and we can say that car is new. Those adjectives are called predicative adjectives because they are placed in the predicate, that is right after the linking verb be. So the house is big, the house is spacious, the woman is beautiful, that woman is beautiful, the bottle is empty, the bottle is full. So adjectives can be distributed syntactically speaking. They can occupy places before the noun in pre-modifier position, or they can be used predicatively in the predicate right after the copular verb. So this is what we call, again, distributional or a distributional criterion for the determination of the category adjective. Finally, we will talk about the category adverb. So adverbs are constituents that, morphologically speaking, therefore we are considering a morphological criterion here. Morphologically speaking, they end, adverbs end in ly. So we will go for careful, carefully, reckless, recklessly. Of course, again, there are instances of irregular adverbs, such as hard in he works hard, or fast in he drives fast. But on the whole, we need to consider the regularities in order to characterize morphologically the category adverb for an important number of constituents. But what about distributional criteria for the determination of adverbs? We know that adverbs modify either verbs or adjectives. So we know that we can say drive carefully, drive recklessly, where the adverbs recklessly, carefully, slowly will modify the verb drive. And we can also think of very or extremely as adverbs pre-modifying adjectives. So we know that adverbs will have the function of modifying verbs, and they will be placed right after the verbs. Again, drive recklessly, drive slowly, drive quickly. These are adverbs that modify verbs. And we also know that adverbs can pre-modify adjectives, as in extremely good, very good, quite good. Extremely, quite, very are adverbs pre-modifying adjectives. Therefore, in terms of distribution, adverbs will be placed right after the verbs, and they will be preceding adjectives. Notice that we are using the terms precede and follow, but basically what we're going to say in the near future, and this is something that we have already stated, is that grammars are not linear. For the time being, we're talking about preceding and following, but grammars are hierarchical. As we will see, elements will be pre-modifying or post-modifying other elements, but that will basically constitute a hierarchical relation. More about hierarchical relations in the future. In this class, we are concentrating on the morphological and distributional criteria that we use for the determination of different types of or different categories of constituents. We have covered some word categories, namely verb, noun, adjective, and adverb. There are other word categories which we will discuss in our next class. In our next class, we will be talking about content words and function words. In today's class, we have concentrated mainly on the different criteria, both distributional and morphological, that will lead us to determine that a constituent belongs to a specific word category or constituent category. If you're interested in participating and having interactions with us, you're kindly invited to make comments and questions below. And we hope that you will be with us in our next program. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that we can keep you informed by getting you our latest updates on the videos that we produce. We hope you have enjoyed the class. See you. Bye-bye.